And the real irony of that little clip, if you've ever seen that movie, is the one that can't handle the truth is the one on the witness stand. Because the truth is that he used his power and he let it go to his head, and he set up the situation to where a Marine was killed because he was trying to show an example. And, I think about that kind of thing and realize it's not the Tom Cruise character that can't handle the truth. I know Tom Cruise himself can't handle it. But anyway, his character can't handle the truth. But it's Jack Nicholson's. And when I think about that, every time I see this passage, I'm always reminded of Satan. Because Satan can't handle the truth. Did you know that? We're in a war. And that war that we are in is not against countries. It's not against people. We're in a special kind of war. We're in spiritual warfare. And because of that, I decided, I was looking over things that I wanted to do as our next series. You know how you follow up Superman? And I thought, well, maybe I'd do one on football. The more I started thinking about football, I thought, how do I do football? I started thinking about training. And then when I thought about training, I said, you know what we need in our church? Maybe some basic training for disciples. Get us ready. Get us prepared for the battles that we have to fight. So that we're not going into battle all of the time and coming out of the other end all wounded and beat up. But instead, let's come out victorious. Don't you think so? Yeah. I think Christians ought to be victorious and not fighting the wrong battles. So the biggest thing we have to understand right from the get-go is people are not our enemy. If you feel like you've got to battle people, you are fighting the wrong enemy. I want us to read, if you'd stand with me, from John 8. Just one verse. There's more to it, and I encourage you to read it in context. And Jesus said to them, if God were your Father, you would love me, for I came from God, and now I am here. I have not come of my own, but He sent me. I'm going to read a little bit further here. Why is my language not clear to you? Because you are unable to hear what I say. You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desire. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. He lies. And when he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. You may be seated. So we're called into the army of the Lord. And if we're going to be effective, we need training. And the very first thing training requires is to know your enemy. If you don't know your enemy, how are you going to know what to fight? If you don't know your enemy, what's even going to motivate you to train? So we begin by knowing our enemy. And our enemy is Satan. He is a powerful enemy that should not be underestimated. But he has one major weakness. And that weakness is Satan can't handle the truth. Satan can't handle the truth. It is his kryptonite, if you would. He is a liar. There is no truth in him. Ephesians 6:12 says this. It says, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil. Satan is our enemy, and his weapon of choice is deception. He wants to lie to us. He wants to give us those kind of little half-truths. Tries to tell us all of these things that are going to make us think, oh, this is nice, this is wonderful, so it can destroy us. I knew a little girl, actually she was a grown woman, I knew her when she, as a grown woman, but when she was a little girl, let me make the story clear. When she was a little girl, she went into the cabinet underneath the sink. And there is something under there that is very sweet and smells very nice. But if you drink it, it will rip you apart. It's cleaner, right? Have you ever noticed that there are certain things that just smell so wonderful that are deadly? I don't know. Some of you people might think it's gross, but I think the smell of gas smells good. Gasoline? I like the smell of gasoline. What can I say? I'm not a mechanic, but I like the smell of mechanic shops. The grease and oil and all that stuff. It just smells good to me. I don't know why. And what? Everybody's surprised. They're like, no, you look like the kind that gets your hands dirty. No, I get my hands dirty all the time. Handing the guy the wrench. But no, the truth is that I think that there are certain things that entice us, but they're deadly. And we have to be careful, because that's what Satan likes to do. He likes to entice us with something that seems sweet, but it will destroy our spiritual life. He tempted Eve in the Garden of Eden. He tempted Jesus in the desert. He tempted Judas with gold, and he tempted Peter with fear. He is the deceiver. He is the destroyer of all that is good. And his objective is to undermine everything that God has accomplished. God is the creator. Satan wants to be the destroyer. He wants to corrupt that which God has made. Kind of reminded of Lord of the Rings. And in Lord of the Rings, they are talking, and it's not in the, I don't think it's in the movies, but it's in the books. Yeah, I'm that much of a nerd. All right. So, I remember the books that were talking, and one of the things that Lord of the Rings says is he says that Sauron, who's the evil one, he can't create anything. All he can do is corrupt that which is created. And I'm thinking over and over, Satan doesn't create anything. He doesn't make demons. He didn't make his current living place. He didn't make us. He hasn't made anything on this earth. All he can do is corrupt that which has already been made. And so, we don't want to give him too much credit, but at the same time, we want to understand. But it is still a deadly enemy that we're dealing with. But what is truth? We live in a society right now where truth seems relative. Everything is so confusing sometimes. A number of surveys have found that a high percentage of Americans aren't even sure they know what the truth is. Whether it be political truth, financial truth, spiritual truth. Is the sound system clapping for me? Thank you. Okay, what was that? Huh? Okay, it's over now, right? Okay, could you hear it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
We just thought you were doing a good job.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Electronic clapping. Yeah. But we live in a society where truth seems more and more relative. And you go to a secular college, and you're going to find that the professors, the philosophy professors, oftentimes will come into the classroom and they will explain to the students that there is no such thing as absolute morality. That absolute morality only exists in the mind of somebody who has closed up to possibilities. Everything seems to be relative, and we no longer know what's right and wrong. Ephesians 2:1-3 says this. It says, "As for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who disobey." I want you to think about it. This is all the way back 2,000 years ago when he's writing this. And he said to them, "You were dead in your transgressions and sin in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world." You see, the ways of this world are after the ways of Satan, and so because they're following Satan, then the ways of the world are always going to find a way to excuse away bad behavior. Why it's okay. Why it's okay to do that which is wrong. And unfortunately, people do it all the time. And they explain it, And they'll come to you and they'll explain why that whatever you believe is wrong it's not really wrong. Now, I don't believe that it's my job to go out into the world and try to pick out everybody's wrongs. But I have to be careful in my own life that I don't start adopting. So I have to know what's wrong and I have to know what's right. And so I have to know the truth. So one of the very first things that I have to understand is this. If I want to know what truth is, I have to study the source of truth. Truth stands against Satan. Satan's biggest weapon, as we mentioned, is deception. And his greatest weakness is truth. Absolute truth, that is God's truth, is the very weapon that we can use to defeat Satan and evil in our lives. So how do we look at this? Satan is going to fight every chance he gets to get us to believe the half-truths, to get us to believe the deception. 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5 says this. It says, "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons that we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ." So that when I begin to think, oh wow, maybe these people have a right, maybe all religions do lead to God. When I begin to think that kind of thing, I am letting them begin to hit me with all of this knowledge that they think that they have. And so they begin to twist things. And it's difficult when what comes at you is not even factual information. You can have facts and it not be factual. You do realize that, right? Let me give you an example of something that is factual, but it's not accurate. If the number one receiver in the NFL plays for your team, and you have the number one quarterback in the NFL, and the number one running back in the NFL, all of which lead the NFL, number one passing quarterback, number one touchdowns, and the number one touchdowns for the receiver. You have all three of the above. Therefore, you are the winning offense in the NFL, right? Wrong. You can have all three of those things and still lose games. It's not a question of all of the little pieces that somehow I can pull together. Is the overall the truth? And what Satan tries to do is he'll try to give you some of the truth, but not all of it. So he'll say to you, well, the church has problems, therefore there is no God. Where'd you get that from? If the church has problems, therefore I can say there is Satan.
That's right.
He's at work. He's trying to mess things up. He's trying to mess with people's minds. He's trying to get you to see things all messed up. He's trying to get you to see your neighbor as being a loser. Trying to get them to see them as being somebody who's against you. He wants you to walk through that door and look around and begin to see people who are in trouble. That's Satan's work. Satan wants to mess up your home. He wants you to think of your wife as this badgering loudmouth. Oh, and wives, he wants you to see your husband as this lump of clay that sits on the couch watching football. And the truth is, guys, none of that's the truth. Maybe there's a little truth. Not really. That's not who they are. They're a loving person that you came to marry. And you spend this time with them, and Satan will try to mess up your lives. Kids, you go to school, and they want you to think that every kid in school is not a Christian except you. They want you to walk through that. Satan wants you to go into school and think you're all alone, man. You are all alone. Nobody else believes this stuff. Why do you believe it? Yet there are Christian kids all around the school, all fearing the Lord. That's the way he works. Every time you look in the mirror, I think, now I start to sound like Dana Carvey, but every time I look in the mirror, sometimes I look in the mirror and I go, who's telling me what I look like today? Is it Satan? Because you look in the mirror and you start noticing all your flaws, right? And then you say to somebody, well, I've got this flaw here. They go, where? Have you ever done that? Nobody? Everybody's looking at me like, yeah, you're right. It happens all the time. I remember I had acne one time. It was like right here. And I honestly thought it could talk. It was so big, you know. And I said, I need to do something. I need to wear a hat so I can come up and sit on my forehead. And no kidding. My friend said, where? I don't see it. Right here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I see it. And I thought to myself, how could you miss it? It's bigger than my face. When you look in the mirror, Satan wants to lie to you. He wants to say to you, you are a mess. You're ugly. You're bad. You're a loser. You'll never get that you want. You'll never have any of those things. You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to measure up. Satan. You know that song, The Voice of Truth? You ever heard that song by Lisa and sung here? In that song, that's basically what it's talking about is, I am not going to listen to the father of lies anymore because all he wants to do is destroy me. He wants to destroy me. He wants to destroy my family. He wants to destroy my church. All he can do is destroy. That's the enemy. And he's trying to tell you right now, the pastor's going off on some weird subject. Don't even pay attention. Do whatever you want to do, but don't listen to him. Because if you listen to him, you might get a little truth and find out, guess what? God made you the way he made you because he wanted you to be the way that you are because he's got plans for you. And if you let him have control, you're going to find out that you can be as awesome as God wants you to be. Truth stands against Satan and says, I'm not going to listen to you. Now, we have to understand why Satan has a problem with the truth. All right? Why does Satan have a problem? Well, remember Jesus declared, there is no truth, zero truth in Satan. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Satan can't handle the truth. Because Satan knows that if the truth is there, he won't be in control. Satan doesn't want you to realize that he has no real power.
That's right.
It's all illusion. It's all me trying to get you to think something, you know? You ever seen a magic act where the guy does all these amazing things and you're going, what is that? And he goes, oh, it's magic. It's not magic, it's trickery. It's cool trickery. I like cool trickery. I love magic acts. I really do. Not because I'm into the occult, but because I know that these guys work a lot of time. There's science involved here, there's physics, there's all sorts of things that these guys do in order to be able to pull off these magic acts. So when the person goes into the thing and it disappears, and you can't even see them on the stage, and then they remove the box, and you go, how did they do that, right? But see, that's what Satan is. He's putting little tricks in front of you, making you think things are the way that they are, but they're not. He will make you think that your job is the worst job you've ever been in. He'll make you so sour and so messed up in that thing, you'll wind up quitting. And then you wind up in a financial mess. But you didn't say to God, God, is there a ministry for me here? He'll make you think to yourself, man, this is the worst possible school you could be at. You just need to leave. You just need to go. Instead of saying, is there a ministry for me here? What a horrible family. I should just walk out the door. Is there a ministry for me here? See, those are the questions. Those are the true questions that God wants us to be asking. But Satan's saying, it's messed up. Leave it. Wash your hands of the whole thing. That's not God's way. You see, there is absolute truth. Now, to prove that there's absolute truth, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, let's look at a few ways where we can know that there's absolute truth in the world, okay? Alright? So, it's not a question of whether I perceive it to be true, it's a question of whether it's real or it's not real. Okay, so we can all say that this may not actually be a pew. It may actually be something else, it's all relative. Right? That's a pew, right? Anybody? Why is it a pew? Because we know it's a pew. Now, there's some things that we just know, but there's some things that can be demonstrated and proven. For example, in chemistry, it is not a debatable fact that H2O is water, right? So if you have 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen molecule, you have water, period. Not a debate. There's no chemistry guy out there that's going, well, I think that this is all a big ruse. No, everyone knows that's the case. Mathematics, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 6? 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? And we know that this is not a debatable thing. There are certain things that are truth, absolute truth. And then there are things that are debatable. Whether God exists or not is either absolute truth or absolute baloney. It cannot be, well, I think so, so maybe, no. He either does or he does not.
Amen.
It's absolute truth or don't even bother. Do I believe that God is the creator of the universe? Do I believe that He is in my life? Do I believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for my sins? Do I believe the Holy Spirit is with me every moment of every day? I either believe it or I don't. It's either 100% or it's not. But I can't live in the middle. Because if I live in the middle, it has to doubt. I have to say to myself, I have never made a choice. And God says, make a choice. Decide this day who you're going to follow. Do you want to follow the leader of lies, or do you want to follow the Lord of hosts? There is absolutely an absolute truth. Everything is not relative. But people are rejecting truth today. And you know what? The bad part is they're not rejecting truth, they're rejecting somebody else's truth. Because then they turn around and they tell you exactly what the truth is. Have you ever noticed that? Well, Christians, they don't know what they're talking about. The Christians are this, and Christians that, and Christians this, and Christians that. Next thing you know, they're telling you, oh, but real morality is the following. They don't use those words, but they tell you all the reasons why everybody else is immoral. You know, talk about fake news. The truth is that I haven't found news that isn't fake. And you say, why? The only way you can have non-fake news is for the following to happen. There was a fire at such and such a place. 2 dogs and 2 cats escaped through the bottom window. The house burns to the ground. Done. That's the only way you can have unbiased news. But I'm telling you today, I was thinking about it. Fox News and CNN. You're watching the television. For some reason, Donald Trump is walking by. And he has his hands like this. And a baby falls in his arms. From a burning building. Okay? Now, Fox will say, Donald Trump risked his life to save a baby. CNN will say, Donald Trump suspiciously near fire. Okay? You think tell me I'm wrong. Because one is all about the conservative, view. This is boom, boom, boom. Everything's conservative. Even when sometimes you've looked at Fox and gone, really? Come on, guys. You're kind of pushing it. You've looked at CNN and you've gone, really? Come on, guys. Every day. So it's not fake news, it's what I like to call skewed news. And it's skewed news because they know their audience. Fox knows they have a conservative audience, so everything's going to be tickling those itching ears. And then you also have the news over here on CNN, and they know they have more of a liberal audience, so everything's going to be tickling the ears. Just enough. It's just that little edge. Still trying to be objective. And you're bombarded like this as Christians, constantly like this, by people vying for your attention, people trying to tell you who you are and what you are to be. But the truth of the matter is, neither one of those networks should control your lives. None of the television, none of the news, none of the books, none of this stuff. Because God has already told you what He wants you to be. And if we'll just listen to His voice, we'll realize something. It doesn't matter how much the news gets skewed. I know God is still going to be ultimately in control.
Amen.
They can doubt it. They can say whatever they want. But Satan wanted to be the one who would decide. And you know what he wants to turn us into? Not ones that listen to him all the time. But I want you to think about this for just a second. If all of the decisions for who I'm going to follow are gone, I no longer have to follow God. Who am I going to follow? You're going to say, well, Satan, well, yeah, but I'm not thinking in my mind of following Satan. Who am I following? Myself. I'm the next best authority. And I'll decide what's right and wrong. I'll decide who's good and bad. I will decide. I begin to become the source. But you know, that's a messed up thing. Because when I become the source, my feelings will always begin to come back to myself. What's good for me? How do I feel about, this? How does this affect me? It's no longer how it affects you. I don't care how it affects you. Well, I do care, but only in the sense that I care about how it affects you, because watching you do stuff makes me feel bad. So, therefore, I don't want you to suffer. See what I'm saying? So I turn the channel. And then they have, kittens on there being, mistreated, and you gotta turn the channel again to something that doesn't make me feel like that. And then I find something that doesn't make me feel like that, because it's mindless. And I listen and I laugh, it's so funny. And then I turn it off and I walk away, and I vegetate in my mind and numb it to the point where I just don't care. But the truth is that the more I rely on myself, the more I'm really listening to Satan, because he's the one that says, listen to yourself, listen to yourself. You've got all the answers, you know how to do it. Be a self-made man, be a self-made woman, be who you want to be. Just pick and choose, and then you'll be fine, because you are king of the world. At least as far as king of your own life. And God says, no, that's not the case. I loved you, I created you, and I want you to fellowship with me. And the more you fellowship with me, the more you'll realize it's only as you know me, and only as you listen to my word, that you will find true fulfillment. That aching, existential pain in the back of your soul that gets louder and louder the older you seem to get is a longing for me, a longing for God. It is a heart that has a huge void, and it is a Christ-shaped void. So the absolute truth that we begin with is this, and it's the absolute truth Satan doesn't want you to know, and that is that God has sent his Son so that we might know the truth, and that God has also said to us, look, you're going to have to deal with sin. There is right and wrong. So what's the basis of truth? 16:18. When he comes, he will convict the world of guilt and sin in regards to sin and righteousness and judgment. So here is the basis of truth for us. The Holy Spirit speaks to our hearts. And he tells us the following. He says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Every one of us is a sinner who has sinned and hurt God, but there's more to that. 1 John 1:9 says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So first of all, we come to the place where we say, I no longer believe the world's truth, that all morality is just relative. I believe that there is right and wrong, and I know I've done wrong. And I come to God and I say, forgive me for that wrong which I have done. And then after I do that, I confess it before God, and I say, I am a sinner. I have sinned before you. I confess it before you, and I ask you to cleanse me. And God says he will cleanse us. To confess our sins, he's faithful and just to forgive us our sins, and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. The third aspect of the truth that we're going to just mention today is, with forgiveness comes cleansing so that we will become new creations. You and I are new creations. Completely. 2 Corinthians 5:17 reminds us that we are new creations, not the old self, but the new self. And in baptism, I was buried with Christ as he went into the ground. And I was raised with Christ when I came out. I'm a new creature. And because I'm a new creature, I can't think like the old ways. And I can't think about the relative morality of that which is good, but instead I begin to think, no, there is God's Word and what it teaches me. You say, well, what does it teach me? Glad you asked. Basic training. The next few weeks that we're going to be here is going to be basic training. We're going to be looking at some of these things. And we're going to be looking at the training that we as Christians need to have in our hearts in order to go out into the world and not face the people, but face Satan as he tries to attack the minds and hearts of people. So, Satan can't handle the truth because those in Christ have the truth in us.
Amen.
We have the truth, and now we need to take the truth and apply it to our life. Father, thank you, Lord.